The flight attendant slaps black woman unaware. She's the billionaire that owns the plane. What happens will shock you. The flight attendant's voice rose so sharply that everyone in the cabin could hear. She glared down at Naomi, a calm black woman in her late 30s, and snapped, I'm going to ask you one last time. Move to the back of the plane, or I'll call security. Her words dripped with condescension, and passengers nearby craned their necks to watch. Naomi, unbothered, gazed up with unwavering composure. I've already told you, she replied in a soft yet firm tone. I'm not moving. Although her voice was gentle, it carried a quiet strength that left the flight attendant, Lauren, even more furious. Naomi endured humiliation in front of everyone. But no one expected what would happen next when this woman, who seemed powerless, revealed who she truly was. The private jet gleamed under the afternoon sun, its sleek body promising a grand trip. Inside, the cabin was anything but ordinary. Luxurious leather seats, gold accents, and a sense of privilege that made every passenger feel like royalty. People moved with ease, rolling expensive luggage behind them as the flight crew guided them to their places. Some passengers scrolled through phones, while others sipped champagne, offered up by attentive junior attendants. A gentle background music played, adding to the lavish atmosphere. Among these travelers was Naomi Williams, dressed in a tailored navy blazer and matching slacks. She carried herself with an understated elegance, calm, confident, and uninterested in drawing attention to herself. This was no ordinary journey for her. She was traveling to oversee parts of her growing empire, though nobody on board realized that yet. She preferred to keep her status low-key. Near the entrance stood Lauren, the lead flight attendant, with a crisp uniform and sharp features. She liked keeping the plane under control, but her version of control depended on how people looked and acted. Her greetings varied: warm smiles for those she deemed important, cool nods for everyone else. When Naomi came aboard, Lauren offered only a curt, "Welcome aboard," skipping any real courtesy. Not far behind Naomi were Mr. and Mrs. Raymond, an older couple who traveled often. Lauren immediately beamed at them. "Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Raymond. Wonderful to have you again," she said, proving she could be friendly when it suited her. Naomi noticed the stark contrast in Lauren's warmth. Still, she remained polite and quiet, settling into her seat without complaint. Lauren roamed the cabin, double-checking seatbelts and ensuring the Raymonds were comfortable. When she passed Naomi, her tone changed, and she chose not to offer Naomi the same kindness, or even a simple greeting. It was as if Lauren believed Naomi did not belong in the front section at all. Lauren Reed, in her early 40s, carried herself like someone who thrived on order. Everything about her, uniform, hair, posture, was perfectly polished. To her, appearances mattered more than anything, so she made snap judgments. The calm, self-assured way Naomi sat there didn't sit well with Lauren, especially since Naomi did not seem starstruck by the plane's luxury or eager to prove she had the right to be there. It looked like Naomi simply felt comfortable, and for some reason, that grated on Lauren's nerves. Lauren marched right up to Naomi, plastering on a tense smile. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said in a falsely polite voice. "I think you're in the wrong section." Naomi glanced up calmly. "I believe this is my seat," she replied, sounding sure but not hostile. Lauren's smile became a hard line, and she shot back, "This section is reserved for our elite passengers." A nearby socialite leaned over to watch. A businessman frowned at the rudeness in Lauren's voice. Naomi remained unfazed. "Maybe you should check your passenger list before making assumptions," she suggested. Lauren's irritation flared. "I don't need to check anything. I know who belongs here and who doesn't." The cabin air thickened. Some travelers whispered behind their hands. One muttered that maybe Naomi was just trying for a free upgrade. Lauren crossed her arms and stated that if Naomi didn't move to the back of the plane, she'd call security. Naomi kept her calm tone. "Call whoever you need," she said, "but I'm not moving." The socialite gasped. The businessman looked more concerned, and Lauren, now very angry, called for Grace, the junior attendant, to escort Naomi out. Grace hesitated, looking like she wanted to check the list just to be certain, but Lauren shot her a warning glare. Naomi suggested Lauren think carefully about her actions, but Lauren dismissed her. "I know exactly what I'm doing," she spat. Now get up. The tense standoff made people shift in their seats, unsure whether to speak up or stay quiet. Lauren repeated her demand, announcing that Naomi didn't belong there. Naomi calmly warned Lauren not to judge people so quickly. Lauren smirked. You shouldn't be in seats you didn't pay for. It reached a boiling point when Naomi calmly picked up her phone and typed a quick message. She placed it on the armrest, remarking, You're making a mistake. Lauren ignored the warning. The tension crackled, drawing even more attention. Grace in the background looked anxious, sensing this was about to explode into something bigger. Lauren's voice grew louder. I'm going to ask you one last time. Move to the back of the plane, or I'm calling security. Everyone around them listened in silence. Naomi, never once raising her voice, responded, I've already told you, I'm not moving. Her steady tone only made Lauren angrier. A nosy socialite whispered something about Naomi trying to sneak a free seat, which Lauren pounced on. That's exactly what it looks like, Lauren said, crossing her arms and turning to gather support from other passengers. Naomi did not insult her back. She simply stared, letting Lauren's own words speak for themselves. Grace tried to check the passenger list near the cockpit, but Lauren snapped at her to stop. Nearby, a well-dressed businessman asked Naomi if she was okay. Naomi thanked him calmly, but Lauren barked at him not to encourage a disturbance. He simply pointed out that Lauren, not Naomi, was making a scene. Embarrassed but more determined, Lauren threatened to remove Naomi from the plane entirely. Naomi stated that she could try. This made Lauren lose her temper. Shaking with anger, Lauren demanded Naomi admit she was in the wrong seat. When Naomi said nothing, Lauren stormed off. A while later, she returned with a tray of sparkling water, serving other passengers but deliberately ignoring Naomi. When Naomi finally tried to get her attention for a drink, Lauren snapped she'd get to it when she could. Naomi stayed calm. Soon, Lauren came back down the aisle, noticing Naomi's leg shifting slightly. Instead of politely asking her to move it, Lauren stepped right into it, causing the tray to tilt, splashing water across Naomi's lap. Passengers gasped. Lauren acted as though Naomi had caused it. Watch where you put your legs, she yelled. Naomi pointed out quietly that Lauren had walked into her. I've only asked for the same respect as everyone else, Naomi said. If that's too much, maybe you're the one who doesn't belong here. The remark, though softly spoken, struck a nerve. With rage burning in her eyes, Lauren slapped Naomi across the face. A collective gasp spread through the cabin. The businessman stood halfway, furious. Grace had her hands clamped over her mouth. Even the socialite looked startled, losing her earlier smugness. Naomi slowly straightened. Her hand rested in her lap, and she looked up at Lauren with a calm expression that somehow made Lauren hesitate. You just made the worst mistake of your life, Naomi said quietly but clearly. Some wondered if Naomi would slap back or start yelling, but she merely maintained her steady posture. Lauren, however, continued to argue, saying Naomi was the disruptive one. Naomi replied simply that Lauren would regret her behavior. The flight attendant scoffed, but her confidence wavered for a moment. Grace, observing from the corner, made a hushed phone call, nervously explaining there was a serious issue on the plane. She hung up and returned, unsure what was about to happen. Tension weighed heavily. A few people whispered among themselves, trying to guess who Naomi might be. She had not raised her voice or made threats, yet she radiated an authority that unsettled Lauren. Before long, the pilot emerged, looking grim. He walked directly to Lauren and said, You need to step aside. Offended, Lauren folded her arms and claimed she was handling the matter. The pilot explained that management had called. The plane's owner was on board, and that owner was Naomi Williams. The cabin erupted with murmurs and gasps. The socialite's eyes went wide, and the businessman nodded like he had suspected as much. Lauren's face drained of color. She stammered, There must be a mistake. Naomi rose from her seat, calm and upright, saying, I'm Naomi Williams. I own this plane and the entire airline. Lauren couldn't respond. The pilot then announced they would make an unscheduled landing. Confusion rippled through the passengers, who fastened seatbelts as the plane descended. Upon landing, a sleek black SUV pulled up. Two of Naomi's assistants climbed the steps in brisk, professional strides. They greeted Naomi with respect, asking if everything was ready for her review. Lauren stood rooted in place, realizing her earlier assumptions had been disastrously wrong. Naomi turned to Lauren, speaking in a measured tone. "Your behavior has been disgraceful. You humiliated yourself, mistreated a passenger, and harmed this airline's reputation." Lauren tried to say she hadn't known, but Naomi wouldn't hear it. "You didn't know because you never bothered to treat me with basic respect," Naomi said. Other passengers nodded, remembering how Lauren had behaved. Mr. Raymond folded his newspaper, giving Naomi an approving glance, while Mrs. Raymond paused her knitting in silent agreement. Naomi told Lauren she had crossed a line. Then she called the pilot's attention, insisting this be dealt with immediately so it would never happen again. The pilot nodded. Lauren backed away, desperate to leave, but he blocked her path. Naomi then announced that Lauren was fired on the spot. Lauren tried to plead, "Please, Miss Williams, I didn't mean to," but Naomi cut in with a cold retort. "You didn't mean to get caught. Now you'll face the consequences." At that moment, two uniformed officers boarded, responding to a report of assault. They asked Naomi whether she was pressing charges. She said yes. Lauren panicked, claiming it was a misunderstanding. One officer pulled out handcuffs, reciting her rights for assault. A hush fell over everyone. As they were about to lead Lauren away, Naomi signaled them to wait. She told Lauren that before leaving the plane, she would perform an embarrassing dance in front of everyone, to feel the same humiliation she tried to inflict on Naomi. Horrified but terrified, Lauren did as told, stumbling through a clumsy, awkward dance while tears slid down her cheeks. Several passengers gaped, some discreetly filmed. When Naomi finally ordered her to stop, Lauren tried to stammer an apology, but Naomi remained firm. Naomi then pointed to a small table near the galley and told Lauren to write, "I am sorry," 1,000 times. Lauren's hands shook as she scribbled the same phrase again and again, tears smudging the ink. Passengers watched her fill page after page until all 1,000 apologies were done. Only then did Naomi nod, satisfied. She gestured to the officers, who cuffed Lauren and walked her off the jet. Passengers stared in astonishment as the once arrogant attendant disappeared, eyes swollen with tears. Naomi turned to face the onlookers. In a steady voice, she apologized for what everyone had witnessed and promised this was not how her airline operated. She made it clear she would improve training so no passenger would face such treatment again. People erupted into applause. Some cheered outright. The businessman who had tried to help earlier gave Naomi a respectful nod. Naomi thanked Grace for her attempts to do what was right, assuring the younger attendant that she would be considered for a promotion. With Lauren removed and the crisis ended, the cabin felt relieved and amazed at Naomi's calm authority. A few passengers whispered praise for her courage. The nosy socialite openly told Naomi she was incredible. Naomi offered a gentle smile, telling her that it was always worth standing up for what was right. Later, in a televised interview, Naomi explained that respect was not a luxury, but something all people deserved, regardless of appearance or rank. Viewers praised her for calmly addressing bigotry and misuse of power rather than sweeping it under the rug. After the incident, Naomi traveled again on her airline, this time welcomed with genuine warmth. As she settled in, she felt at peace knowing that sometimes turning a humiliating incident into a lesson could help spark a larger change. High above the clouds, Naomi reflected on how real leadership meant never backing down from defending others' dignity, and she hoped this story would resonate far beyond a single FA flight.